Let's talk about this. Migrants to be housed in 6 more New York City school gyms. Outraged parents say plan is just insane. Well, let me tell you something about me. I'm 41. I have no children. I do not live in New York City. I live outside of New York City in Westchester County. But I do watch the New York City news because I find it to be more interesting. I spend more time in New York City. I'm so sorry you parents are going through this. Like, I have no problems with immigrants at all. You know what I'm saying? I know that they're trying to make a better way by coming here. But using these children's school gymnasium to house them is dangerous. It's unhealthy.
Yep, so that is correct. As New York City is, like I said, is a sanctuary city, so therefore it has to do sanctuary things, which in this particular case, that's very unfortunate, is house migrants at local school gyms. Now, I don't should have to say much more than what the lady previous to me just said, that how dangerous this is to the children of the locals in the area, because it's already one thing where New York is already moving a lot of homeless people to the side and taking care of, the migrants, just like in Chicago, that's going through the same similar situation. But now they're also compromising the safety of children. This goes back to the whole thing with the gender affirming care situation, or the situation with the advertising transgender clothes at Target and Kohl's and so forth. It goes to the same sentiment that we're not protecting our children nowadays. A society that can't protect their children, let alone protect their women, is definitely a society that's doomed for failure. And that's what's apparently is happening in America nowadays. And it's clearly exhibited in a lot of these Democratic run cities, Chicago, New York, Baltimore, San Francisco, and so on. I think Minnesota is one of them too, up there on the list as well. But here in this particular situation, since Title 42 has ended, which basically reversed back the immigration laws to Title 8, so therefore more migrants that are under the cloak of asylum can come over into the states and basically become registered and, migrate into the country to become legal. Some of them hopefully will become legal. So New York City got what they asked for. You voted for this, so you got it. So now Mayor Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, he's basically trying to, combat this issue, trying to, make up programs and saying the right things as a politician, of course, to kind of like ease the pain for New York City residents. But in actuality, he's not.
The growing migrant crisis is pushing cities to the brink. Title 42, which allowed the U.S. to quickly turn away migrants, expired on May 11th, and the resulting surge of migrants entering the country has put a strain on many cities trying to house them.
Well, city officials say more than half of the city's shelter system is filled with migrants. You took a lot of heat for placing migrants in public school gyms, and you had to scrap their plan. What's next?
Well, we didn't scrap the plan, and we didn't put them into public school gyms as it was portrayed. There are 20 standalone gyms that are not inside school buildings. We identified those 20 standalone gyms and said we're going to use them as respite centers, not long-term care.
Over the weekend, New York City's Homeless Bill of Rights became law. How is that going to affect the housing crisis going forward?
Not at all. There was nothing really changed. They codified into the city council law, but it's the same. Some people try to depict it as that now you could have shelters and tents on our streets. Nope, that's not happening. We're not going to be in a city where you're going to see encampments and tents. If people want to sleep on the street, you have the right to do so. That has always been in place. But we are not going to go backwards, as we're seeing in some municipalities where you see these tent cities, you see people in encampments on our subway system. I committed to New Yorkers. We're going to rid those encampments off our train system. You don't see them there. We're removing them off our streets. People need to be in care and services for wraparound services, and I'm not going to allow this city to go backwards.
Homeless Bill of Rights. So apparently he's saying that under the Homeless Bill of Rights, everything should be fine. It just basically gives people who don't have access to homes, homeless people, very unfortunate situation for most of them. Most of them. Some of them, ask for this. But for most people that fall under hardships, that's very unfortunate, they become homeless and they have access to various places to be housed, especially women and children. However, the same thing is not for men. A lot of times men get the short end of the stick, and understandably so, because, as a man, you have to have more responsibility. Therefore, more responsibility, more is required from you. So for a lot of the men, they tend to sleep out on the streets and so forth. Now, under the Homeless Bill of Rights, they have a right to sleep in certain places up to a certain time. So Mayor Adams believes that, okay, this Bill of Rights is going to be just saying that they have the ability to sleep at certain times, but New York City still has the authority to move them out of the way if they're impeding traffic or if they're causing a nuance in the area and so forth. That sounds all good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's going to end up. Because a great example of how New York is going to end up in a couple years is where else? San Francisco.
We are currently in the Timberland of San Francisco. I'm walking home right now, and as you can see, my community has become completely uninhabitable. I'm paying $1,400 a month in rent to be surrounded with bodies, fecal, needles, and foil. I can't keep living like this.
So that was San Francisco. As you can see from the contrast of San Francisco about 60, 70 years ago in the 50s to what it is now, is night and day. I mean, obviously you saw right there. And the thing about it is that San Francisco already has laws for the homeless in their city. So they got laws for the people that do not have homes to reside, but yet the people still run the city on the streets, doing drugs, illicit behavior with sexual behavior, lewdness, peeing on the street, urinating, defecating, you name it. They don't care. And that's basically just, becoming a contagion to the society as a whole in San Francisco. And that's going to happen to New York because San Francisco already has laws in their city and state and county ordinances to, protect people against homeless people from just, encroaching upon different private areas or even public areas at a certain amount of time. They already had those laws in the books and they're still doing it. So what does that tell you is going to happen in New York? What, they're going to be, take them off the streets and put them in jail? No. I mean, they're going to take them off the streets and where they're going to put them at? They already put them in the hotels. They already got the migrants in the school gyms. The other places they could put the homeless people in New York will be places that the migrants already reside. So this means that the people that are homeless in New York, they're just basically going to populate more to the streets and just basically become squatters on the streets and the subway system, the parks, and so on. Just like it happened in San Francisco. Because when you have liberal and progressive laws and liberal and progressive politicians to enforce these laws or to adjudicate and to legislate these laws, this is what happens. You have to put your foot down. You have to give that kind of like that tough love type thing. But no, you don't want to say nothing bad. You don't want to be offensive. That right now they don't even call them homeless people. They call them unhoused people because it's all being concerned about the way you say things and how you say things. I tell you, someone told me this about 2 years ago that we're in a matriarchal society. And I was like, nah, that's not true. But the more and more I think about it, how we engage so much in soft languages, I have to totally agree. We're definitely in a matriarchal society right now. I mean, maybe some people in the behind the scenes are patriarchal that are pushing this, but society as a whole, the spirit of the culture in this country right now is matriarchal. Because everyone has to walk on eggshells, not defend anybody. It's already bad enough the whole, transition thing by offending them with pronouns and so forth. But in this particular situation, you can't be too aggressive with the homeless because now you're encroaching on their rights. It sounds weird. It sounds funny. They have the rights to self-house themselves on the streets. I hate to laugh, but that's what they're basically saying. And that's what New York's going to end up as. It's going to end up as San Francisco. And the people are speaking, and they're speaking with their feet and their money. As a lot of people has already migrated from California to Texas and Arizona and Nevada. And a lot of people from New York have migrated down to Tennessee and Florida. I mean, Florida gained, I think, 1 or 2 extra representative in the House of Representatives, and Texas gained 1. While simultaneously at the same time, New York and California lost 1. What does that tell you? People are talking. They're talking with their money to extract the money out of those states. Therefore, they're not paying the real estate tax. They're not paying the city tax. They're not paying, any type of excise tax by buying products and services in those states. And they're migrating down to Florida and Texas and so forth. We know what's happening. We see where the culture's going. Politics is always going to be a downstream for culture. But politics right now is trying to dictate culture to where they want it to legislate it at. And that's not going to happen. So, I used to live in New York. I love New York. I used to work in New York City back in the days, in the 90s. New York used to be a great city. But from the family members I talked to up there that's still there, they'll tell me how ridiculous it is up there. And it's just getting worse and worse. So let me know what you think. Put in the comments below. Do you think New York's homeless situation is going to end up like San Francisco and even worse? I believe so. Let me know.